where we're up to as well. And by the way, that's the most accurate poll that has accurately predicted the last 3 presidential cycles. You don't hear them talking about those 2 polls, just about the ABC one. Why is that? Odd, huh?
Yeah, it is. You know, Bob, in 2012, the Democrats were 38% of the electorate, and Republicans 32%. So that's a 6% difference. And yet almost all of the major polls oversampled Democrats, anywhere from 7 to 9%. I mean, doesn't that admittedly skew the results?
Oh, it definitely skews the results. There's no doubt about it. And remember, most political journalists are Democrats. Not to say they're all biased, but that's just a fact. As far as the sampling and the polls, I mean, you don't know. We've seen in recent elections that polls have been inaccurate. In 2012, they were mostly accurate. But overall, you also have to remember that there's a Trump bump. And pollsters say this is real, that people are not telling pollsters that they're going to vote for Trump, but will do so on November 8th.
You know, now that part, Steve, I'm not buying into that as much because I've never met a shy Donald Trump supporter. I've never met an embarrassed Donald Trump supporter. They wear it proudly, okay?
Proud.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. They're a proud flag-waving bunch, okay? But I do think it's interesting. YouGov, for instance, has them at a really tight race at 4%. And they've got 42% Democrats and 24% Republicans. So I don't know what the internal concoction is, how these guys come up with the numbers. But do you see something deliberate by the media in conjunction with polling to discourage Donald Trump voters?
Yeah, there's a couple of points here. As the mainstream media is writing off Donald Trump, I could tell you the American people are writing off the mainstream media. Charles, in 1948, the Gallup poll and the Roper poll predicted that Governor Thomas Dewey of New York would beat Harry Truman by 6 or 7 points. Look what happened. They totally underestimated the will and the power and might of the American people. Donald Trump has tapped into that. And these polls, they are skewed. I believe they are. I mean, look, other than Fox News, I mean, where are you going to get news? And I'm not giving you guys a plug. It's a fact. Every time you turn into your competitors, they're hammering away at Donald Trump. And they want people to believe that he's going to lose. I say, let not your heart be troubled. Go ahead, go out and vote, and let's elect him to the presidency.
AJ, is there anything that the Donald Trump camp should take away from the polls in terms of as something that maybe they may want to work on or that they should be concerned about? The internals of these polls, do they matter at all?
Not really. I mean, look, our numbers are great. Look at Florida, for instance. The polls are allegedly showing that Hillary Clinton's up by about 3 or 4 points. But today we find out that of the early ballots cast, Republicans are up by 2. So that's a perfect example right there of how these polls, whether they might have been accurate in previous elections, there's something about Trump and this election that they're constantly off. I recall in the primaries, they said Trump was going to be trounced by the Latino vote in New York City. Guess who went on to win the Latino vote in New York City?
Well,
Trump.
He won
so
the
they're
Bronx,
always off about him.
Which surprised me, that's for sure. Okay. Hey, real quick, Bob, because we're going to talk about these swing states more specifically later in the show. But Donald Trump now hammering away at this. He's got 2 weeks. Does he focus his message on the media and the corruption within the media, or does he focus on other areas? I mean, where does he look? Because there are a lot of areas right now for the overall Trump message to get muddled. How does he laser focus this thing?
I think he's got to focus on Hillary Clinton. He's got to stop fighting with other Republicans. Focus on Hillary Clinton. Talk about change day after day after day. If you want the same, if you like the status quo, you vote for Hillary Clinton. This is the year of the outsider. That's why we had Bernie Sanders do so well, Ben Carson do so well, and Donald Trump. He's got to talk about that message for the next 2 weeks.
Guys, thank you all very much. Donald Trump is trying to channel his inner Abraham Lincoln. At least he was this weekend.